Okay, so on today's episode, we are going to be talking about what does the franchisor look for in potential franchisees. Sound right, Chris?
Yes, so take your notes, and if you're not who we're looking for, change who you are so we can make you a happy cat franchisee. And this is every franchise brand is going to have different criteria.
Yep.
Newer brands, emerging brands want a certain type of person, um, coming with certain skill sets and certain interests, and probably more often than not want owner operators, people who are going to be in the business, helping to build that brand up from the ground up. And more advanced systems are going to want multi-unit operators and absentee owners, people with the skill sets and the experience to run multiple storefronts, remotely without having boots on the ground, because it's more conducive to growing their system at those further stages. And when you get into the big ones, McDonald's, Dunkin', Subway, all that stuff, I mean, they typically don't even work with independent franchisees anymore. It's master area developers, and it's all done by regions and things like that. So
Yep.
very, very different across the board what a franchisor is looking for. But we'll keep it high level.
Yeah, I think um, it's interesting to see where we are in that array. We're a micro brand, um, and we are working only with single unit operators. So um, I think the 30,000 foot view on this is to look at this as like a job interview, because this is a 10-year job, you know, in owning a franchise. And or look at it as a partnership. Like one way or another, we're going to be together for 10 years. So the franchisor is certainly going to be looking for someone that they can work with for 10 years. And I think it'll be interesting to kind of flesh out what we look for, maybe specifically what we look for, and then compare that to uh, other brands and what they might be looking for.
Yeah, and at some point, down the road, we have plans to, bring some guests on. We can bring other founders, CEOs, COOs of brands, colleagues of ours, contemporaries, and get their input on what they look for the stage that they're at, and just give the listeners a wide angle view
Yeah.
of all the different possibilities, because you might not be somebody that wants to be in there, for us, scooping litter boxes and greeting customers. And maybe you've owned a business for 20 years, a customer facing business, and uh you can do it without having to be there. Maybe you're not maybe you're not a, I was going to say pleasant person, but maybe you're
Oh,
not,
oh no.
maybe you're not somebody who is comfortable with the public facing, approach, and you want to be behind the scenes. There's just so many different possibilities out there, and it goes back to our last episode. What are you looking for?
Yeah.
Between your Google search or your broker search or your portal search, you got to find that concept that really speaks to you. Then of that concept or that category, now you've got to start interviewing the individual franchisors and making a decision: is this a good fit between us and them? Um, and so when it comes to what we're looking for, I think, well, let's start off with that. So we as Happy Cat Hotel,
Yeah.
um, this concept is very unique. There's nothing like it in franchising, and this is not a sales pitch. This is just where we are at. That will change. There are copycats on the way, um, but it, it's new, it's different, it's young, it's fresh, it's much needed. It has proven out as such throughout the different markets that we've entered into. And a big part of what we're doing here is not just a profitable business, but bringing, it sounds corny, but it's bringing happiness. I want, as the founder, I want nothing more than for this to serve as a opportunity, as a beacon of getting a little dramatic, but like a beacon of freedom for normal, regular people who have just been, putting their work in and making other people money with their hard work, and want to do something for themselves, want that independence and that freedom, and want to be at the end of the day happy. And that's what that's the number one thing that we're looking for is the opportunity to help somebody find happiness. Now, yes, there's all kinds of other things. There's skill sets that are involved and things that you can do to really make this process easier for yourself, depending on whatever your experience might be. But even if you have no experience, it's no reason not to consider it. We've built out an infrastructure that can help almost anybody come through. So when we talk about the who, it's really just someone, and this is starting, we're going to get into other stuff, but it really just starts with somebody who's looking for an opportunity to be happy in their life with what they're doing on a day-to-day business, or on a day-to-day level, I should say. And being in that business, working in that business is the first step to that. So we're looking for owner operators who want to be in there, playing with the cats, working with customers, educating customers, all of that type of thing. That's super important to us.
So my my 2 cents on this, since I'm currently the person that takes first couple of looks at a potential franchisee. Um, I'm looking for people that I like. And I know that probably sounds corny, but if I'm not smiling, talking to them after 30 minutes, I don't want to be with them for the next 10 years. Like, we've got to find common ground fairly quickly. And I'm looking for personable people. I'm also looking for people that care about cats. And that's got to be really important to them. This is the key, I think, to this brand being successful is every one of our owner operators loves cats, like loves cats. And they're excited to have an opportunity to have their own business, a profitable business, where they get to do that all day. So that's a couple of the biggies that I think are important of what we're looking for.
I I I would even add to that people too, as counterintuitive as that may sound. And a lot of times
Yes.
in the pet industry, people
Yep.
turn to the pet industry because they don't like people, or they tell themselves they don't like people. They just want to work with the animals. That's what makes me happy.
Yep.
You can't, it doesn't work that way, because the animals can't get there for you to work with if they're not brought by humans. And so you have to be able to build relationships with humans, and those humans are not going to trust you to care for their animals if you cannot build a relationship with those people. So I don't disagree with you that we want
No,
people
you're
to
right.
love cats, but the people skills is a half notch above that, because you won't even get those cats in the door if you can't build relationships with other humans.
So, so really there's we've got to like them. They have to love cats. They have to enjoy working with people. And those three all build together. I think if you have a love of cats, then talking about um, having your cat stay with us, you're going to hit something that the owner of the hotel is so passionate about, that they're like, yeah, we're going to take great care of your cat. I take care of my cats. Like, this is how I look at it as a cat owner, as a pet owner.
The part about, we have to like them. I mean, there certainly there's more there's more to it that we'll get into. There's other, we're constantly looking for little red flags and stuff, but I think your point of we gotta like them, or I gotta like them, is because if we like them, then almost by default they have those people building, or those relationship building skills that we talked about, that third
Yeah.
component, right?
Yep.
If they can build a relationship with you in 20 to 30 minutes, even 5 minutes in, right?
Yep.
Is this a personable person? Is this a happy person? Is this somebody who we can trust to be, at the front of the house of a Happy Cat hotel, greeting customers and helping them with their problems and talking about? If the answer is yeah, like, it's almost two birds with one stone. Okay, this is a happy person who doesn't mind having a Zoom, uh, relationship with me, and we're both happy
Yep.
here. Okay, they're probably the people person that we're looking for to run that that front of house responsibility for their franchise.
So I feel like this is going to take us someplace a little bit deep, and I we can rearrange this
Mhm.
with wonderful editing techniques later if we have to. But um, I'm just thinking, how do you and I know that someone is truly looking for happiness? Because there's, what am I looking for, and what am I looking to get away from?
Mhm.
There a lot of our owner operators, I think, are going to be coming out of a business experience, uh, probably a very difficult business experience. They've been with a certain company for a number of years. The, they've had enough of that. They want to be on their own, but finding who they are after they've been in that environment for so long is really kind of special.
Uh, I think it's a great point to touch on, because some of a lot of our experience, I think, over the years of doing this has been going through some of that process with them. They know they want to get out, but they don't know what they want to get into.
Yeah.
And we've engaged with them. They've inquired, hey, this is something I could see myself doing. I never thought of this before. I never realized there was a cat hotel franchise. And some of our responsibility to them has been going through that process. And they might get a few weeks or a month or 2 months in, and realize, there's a different opportunity, or my brother wants me to come into the family business. I think I'm gonna do that instead. And it's tough for us because, time is of the essence. Our time is valuable. We go through these things with them, but it's like, I, until we're at a point where we're so busy from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. with leads coming in, and these things are opening up left and right across the, until we get there, there's some piece of satisfaction or responsibility that I feel that, we don't owe it to them, but like I don't know, did we help them think through some things, and did we help them find a direction that they were not looking for when they started? I don't know. It's a weird in between, because again, our time is valuable, but we built some relationships. We had some,
Yeah.
some discussions, and they didn't do it. They decided to do something else, and it's like, oh, that, they would have been a great uh, owner operator, but we're still happy for them. They're off to do their own thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I say all of that because uh, I know that there are franchise systems out there. If they're listening to this podcast, they're like, "You guys are crazy. You're wasting your time. People were never going to do this in the first
Yeah.
place,"
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and all that. That's fine. And we will, get to a place where we probably can't do that because we just don't have the time. But we're young and we're early, and we're trying to identify who the best candidates are for ourselves. How do we do that if we don't talk to everyone and learn with each candidate, And how many
That's
times have
right.
we thought we had the right person, and we get a few weeks or a month in, and we're like, you know what, we're seeing some things, and this is not going to be a good fit. So it's
Yep.
good that we had those conversations.
Yep.
Um, but I say all of that because it brings me uh, to the story of one of our current franchisees. So she had reached out in 2021 and inquired. It was on the heels of a show. We actually did uh, CatCon online
Yep.
because of the pandemic, and so everything was online at that point. And she reached out, and we engaged with her for a while, had a bunch of good conversations. We even got to where we presented her the franchise disclosure document, which is typically one of the final steps in the process. And she thought it over, and she came back, and she said, I appreciate all of the time that you put in. I learned so much. I just can't get this idea of doing a cat cafe out of my head. And she had cited that at the beginning. She was trying
Hmm.
to find a niche in the
Yep.
cat, that she could work with cats. And she said, I think I've been looking at properties, and I think I'm gonna chase that down. I'm gonna go for that. Thank you so much. It was wonderful getting to know you all. I think it's a great concept. I hope you bring one to our area, et cetera, et cetera. And so, we all said our goodbyes and thank yous, and she went off on her own to do that. So it's about that was like September, October of 2021. February, mid-February 2022, we get an email, and it's this person. And she says, "Hey, Chris, uh, don't know if you remember me. I, had a bunch of conversations. I got the FDD, et cetera, et cetera. I cannot get this out of my head. I, 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 I was looking at the Cat Cafe thing, and I
Yep.
started doing that, and I started going through the process of, zoning and finding a building and figuring out what I had to do. And it was a lot harder than I thought doing it on my own. And I'm
Yep.
not entirely sure that it would be profitable at the end of the day when I really look at it."
Yep.
And my husband and I have just every night we sit down and we're like, well, what about the happy cat? What about the happy cat? So we said, absolutely, we remember you. We can pick up where we left off. You've already been disclosed. Let's get refamiliarized with each other. And it was just a couple of calls, and she signed the franchise agreement. Um, and she's in development. She's building her happy cat as we speak.
Yep.
So I, you never know what's going to happen, and we could have really like hardcore vetted her out and and put her back against the wall early on and said, you know, are you going to commit to doing a franchise in the next, 8 weeks or whatever timeline? And, we need you to make a decision and so on and so forth. And she wouldn't have had that relationship. She wouldn't have felt comfortable coming back to us,
I know.
you know? And so, yeah, as long as we can afford to, we have those conversations and they do pay off.
It, this is a little bit of like Miracle on 34th Street, like, well, we don't have those dolls here, but if you go up to Macy's, they've got them. I I think always wanting the best for the people that we interact with, it's part of our culture, it's part of who we are. And I think that shows up um, in our care for the candidates that come through that are looking to possibly become hotel owners. Um, so yeah, I think that's how we treat them. Is there anything else though that we ought to talk about in terms of what we look for in our, in marketing terms, we're going to call this an avatar.
Yeah.
Who is our perfect hotel owner operator avatar?
So this is where I might be worth hitting pause on the podcast, or Charlene, you can edit this out.
Yep.
Um, I wanted to go back, and this might be the best time to do that.
Sure.
Something you had said earlier about, we want absolute cat lovers. If you don't love cats, you're not our people and all of that. I I don't I don't know if that's totally totally true. Totally true.
Really?
Or at least how I interpret the way that you meant it was like cat enthusiast, like Christina level cat enthusiast. You know what I
Yep.
mean?
Yeah.
But I don't think that has to be the case because um, I think of Jackie and Leanne. They're pet lovers, right? I mean, if you go to their house, they've got 3 dogs and a parrot and all kinds of fish and a tarantula. And I mean, it's like a zoo in there. And they have 2 cats and all, like, they're pet lovers. We're pet lovers. Meg and I
Yeah.
are pet lovers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and and so clearly, if you're a cat enthusiast like Christina, or maybe even Martha, um, yeah, you're one step closer to being our people. It's a huge checkbox. But I don't, from a marketing standpoint, I don't know if I want to exclude people who are already presuming that this whole thing is about being a crazy cat person. Like, the founders of that thing must be just like over the top cat enthusiasts. And if I'm not that, I love animals. I love all animals, but if I'm not that, I'm probably not their people. And I might not reach out.
So great point. Um, I think we need to go back and look at our our PowerPoint for one of the first meetings, and it's explicit there. We're looking for people who love cats. So maybe we need to edit that,
Mhm.
over to
Mhm.
pets or animals, and that's the bar that they have to jump.
I, yeah, we need to do that if that's the case. I didn't realize that. I thought we had done that, and it may go back as far as when, like, Jen Brandon was doing it.
Yep.
Maybe it's something that I thought in my head, and I always intended to make an adjustment to. I thought that we had, but I guess
Well,
not.
don't forget, I kind of created a new deck when I came on. Uh, I brought in a new PowerPoint.
That's true. That right. Right. So it might
So,
have been, and you had in your mind, hey, we want cat people.
and you might have just never seen me go through the entire deck.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's possible.
Yeah. It's interesting because we have the Entrepreneur magazine, that piece that they did on us in Entrepreneur. It was actually the antithesis of what you might think about those preconceptions of a brand like ours. The article they did three case studies. It was us, it was Puro Clean, and there was another one. I can't remember who it was. It might have been like Celebrity Schools or something like that. And the whole premise of the article was, these are brands that, you might have a preconception about who they're looking for, but you need to read this because it's not true. Happy Cat Hotel is not looking for the crazy cat lady. In a lot of ways, the crazy cat lady is is a more difficult situation
Yeah.
to build, because for lots of different reasons. And if they don't have certain skill sets, they could have all the love and passion for cats in the world, but if they can't get along with people, and they can't manage employees, and they can't do this and they can't do that, it's never going to work. And it
Right.
was the same thing with Puro Clean. The point was, you don't have to, love remediation. You don't have to be in there, pumping out basements and everything else. You're the owner and you hire people to do, the work. So don't think that, hey, I'm not interested in a Pure Clean business, because so it was interesting. And I think back to that article, and we should be mindful and try to be consistent with that, you know. And I didn't realize the presentation. So yeah, we should edit that. Um,
Yeah.
the task at hand is where to pick up on the podcast, because I don't know if we start kind of
Well,
back at the beginning and talk about this, or what.
there might have been some really good pieces that just came out just now.
Yeah.
And so we'll let Charlene do her editing magic and go, wow, that was cool. Um, so let's start not over from the beginning because uh, my brain can't work that way. I
Yeah.
don't think. So instead, um, let's regroup here. So so let's take a high look again at who we really want. You talk about the DNA of a franchisee. So what's in that DNA in your mind?
Um, so passion. It's so cliche, but they've got to have passion. And again, I don't know that it means they have to have, I mean, yes, they have to have passion for cats, of course, but it's not the be all end all. They also have to have passion for growing a business, passion,
Yes.
passion for learning, uh, passion for people. I mean, our values, our core values, it's four simple words: people, service, growth, happiness, right? They need to have passion for all of those things for this to work. We talk about hard skills and soft skills. You don't have to have run a QuickBooks, um, P&L and balance sheet prior to doing this. We can help you with that. We can teach you. We can, uh, you know, match you with our bookkeepers to do that stuff for you. Like those types of things, those X's and O's, we don't want that to get in the way. It's more of those soft skills. Are you the right people? Are you passionate? Are you willing to grow? Are you willing to learn? Are you willing to lead through service? Um, and do you want to be happy? And what are you willing to do to get it? Because this is not business in a box. This is hard work, no matter what. I think it's even harder if you're doing it on your own. But it just because it's a
Mm,
franchise doesn't mean it's not hard work. And ask any of our franchisees, there are
yeah,
challenges, there are struggles. You are still an independent business owner trying to make your way. We're holding your hand all the time, but it doesn't mean that the earth doesn't rumble beneath our feet while we're holding hands. Like
yeah,
it's tough. Um, and so you gotta have some commitment. You've got to have uh, like a certain level of, I don't want to say crazy, but but you can't get deterred easily. And that goes back to passion. If you have the passion, you're going to keep going no matter what.
so I'd put that under resilience.
Yeah, yeah, better word.
Yeah, yeah. So passion and resilience are in there. I think, um and again, I hate cliche as well, so I'm going to lead with it and then I'm going to soften it, but goal oriented. Ah, that is so corporate. Instead, I'm always looking at vision. What's your vision for what you would want to have at the end? And I think having that commitment to a vision that you can see has already been created at other Happy Cat hotels, and you wanting your own Happy Cat hotel, yeah, that's key. I don't know if I said that in a way that makes sense, but
No, I think that's the whole reason behind the discovery day. There's a term in franchising called they refer to as discovery day. And it's typically comes at the end of the process where you've been engaged with a franchisor, you've learned about the business, you've reviewed the FDD, you've figured out the financing, everything, done all of this work in this journey to, owning your own franchise location. And right towards the end, they do discovery day. And I think that's the point is for them to give that candidate an opportunity to come out and see what it's like to walk through the halls of that business. If it's a daycare, spend a day, half a day in an active daycare of that franchise concept, and like see what it's like to interact with the kids, interact with the families, right? To just push, not push, but like just to give them the opportunity to see that vision. Oh my
yeah,
gosh, I could see myself here. That's it. I'm doing this. I know I qualify. I know they like me. I know I can get finance. What am I waiting for?
right.
That's me. That's me in 6 months or in a year. Um, and for us, that's so important for us to give them the opportunity to see themselves in their own Happy Cat hotel. To your point, a lot of times we do that toward the front end.
Yeah,
We've retooled that and have had people come down and visit an existing location, because that helps them. To me, that helps them in their mind, like put the pieces together that they need to get through the process, right? So if we have a candidate who maybe they're on the like borderline of qualifying financially, right? The bank wants to see a little more capital, a little more liquid asset, or a little more, to put a loan together or something like that. Without having been in the Happy Cat and experiencing that, you might that might deter somebody. The bank said no, I can't do this. It just wasn't meant to be. I'll come back next year, maybe a couple, that type of thing. But if you've been in there and you're walking around all of your days after that, like, obsessed with, oh my gosh, that was amazing. You're not going to let the bank tell you no, or maybe you're going to go do what you need to do
So
to put it together.
so God only knows where I got this little gem from, but I know that there are people that used to go on drives of luxury vehicles so that they could see themselves as owners of that vehicle someday,
Mhm.
and it would kind of solder in everything that they'd have to do to get that. And I can't remember what it was called. It was something like, a vision drive or something like that. But I'm going to go to the Maserati dealer and drive one of those things, and get the feel for it. That's kind of what has to be there one way or another, is this full commitment. Like, yes, I'm going to own this hotel. I'm going to. And, you know, we're currently working with a candidate that um, may not have the capital yet to do this, but there's no question in my mind that this person is so committed to having a Happy Cat hotel that they're going to end up with
Mhm.
one way or another. It's
She's
kind of a get out of my way.
Yeah, yeah, and that didn't come out of nowhere. Like she's known about us for since we started this, and she
Yep.
has been watching,
Yep.
behind the scenes, waiting for her moment to, sorry for the pun, pounce.
Yep.
And and even if there are still challenges, yeah, I see the same thing in her. She's not going to stop until she gets it.
So we just brushed up against one of the other things that unfortunately or fortunately, we have to look for, since we are a brick and mortar franchise.
Mhm.
We've got to talk about money. We've got to talk about um, financing a Happy Cat hotel.
Mhm.
So how do we do that? How do we look for that financial stability, that financial ability to own a hotel?
I think that we maybe leave a cliffhanger and talk about that in the next episode.
Ooh, that's it's very sneaky. I like it. Um, yeah, and I I actually do like that a lot, because we've been to franchise shows, and the headlines are, you need X amount of investment, or don't even walk in here. And and we're more of the, yeah, you're going to need some amount of capitalization, but there are creative ways to get there, and we'll dig in as best as we can to help you. If you've got the passion to own one, we'll do what we can to open as many doors and as many possibilities as
Yeah,
possible.
I think the number one deterrent of people inquiring about a franchise concept is they see that number, that initial investment, which is fine. I mean, franchise brands need to be transparent. Look, it's going to
Yeah.
cost you $60,000 to invest in this franchise. It's going to cost you $2 million to invest in the franchise, whatever it might be. That's fine.
Yep.
But they see that number, and oh, I don't have that. I don't have $300,000. I don't have 60,000. I don't have whatever that number. And it's
And
dare
then
I say
self-select.
it's yeah, and it's sort of wrong thinking, because nobody had I don't have it. I couldn't take cash right now and go start another Happy Cat unit, right?
Yep.
I would have to find ways to fund it. I would have to go to a bank. I would have to take on a partner. I would have to do whatever, because that's how it's done. And especially for the people that we're looking for, if there's an independently wealthy person out there who's got, millions of dollars tied up in real estate and businesses and, investments and all of that type of stuff. And they just want another thing to add to their portfolio that's going to bring them ROI. That's great. They don't have to worry about the funding part, but that's not our avatar. That's not who we're looking for. They're not going to be in the business
Right.
working with customers, which is what we've talked about this whole episode. And so for the people that we're looking for who want to be in the business and want to live this every day, working with people, working with cats, working with their team, uh, they tend to be, this is just um, I don't know, a generalization, but they tend to be just normal, hardworking people who have some money saved or have, maybe a little 401k or have something this or that, right? We have to get creative to figure it out. I don't know where I was going with that. Doesn't matter. We can talk about this
Well,
next week, but
well, one of the things that, maybe we capture now or not is you've had to be creative in
yeah,
your ways of creating the first happy cat, the second happy cat,
yeah,
and probably even establishing the franchising piece that you and I are currently in. So this is part of small business. Part of small business is, okay, how are we going to find the capitalization
Mhm.
to do what we want to do? But underneath that is the desire, the skills, the commitments,
Mhm.
the all of those internal pieces that are so much more important than a bank account number.
Right.
I-
And that is where I was going with it was to get around to my own story with founding Happy Cat. It was we're not independently wealthy. We had to leverage a lot of things to make it happen.
yeah,
And I might be more comfortable with risk, if you will, than other people, and that's fine. It was also the first, it was the first time anybody had done a happy, like we were out there. We were swaying in the wind. Is this gonna
I
work? Is this not
remember.
gonna work? Right.
I
Um,
remember. I thought you were nuts.
you,
I did.
you're not the only one.
Yeah, I
Uh,
know.
I know, Chris. We talked about you. We all talked about you. We had just about planned an intervention when you told us that the rooms were full, so we left you alone. Um, but you're right, and it's so that number when people like look at either a website or they go to a franchise show and a franchise concept, the brand has their banner up and it says $300,000 total investment. Oh, I don't have $300,000. Let's keep walking. That's the opportunity for a conversation because that brand is not expecting you to have $300,000. They know you need to go talk to banks, and they probably have partners that they work with who you can talk to. What other assets do you have to leverage? Could it be a HELOC? Could it be a 401k? Could it be, do you have somebody in your family, in your network who might want to partner with you
Yep.
for a period of time as a silent partner? And then you can buy them out down the road when you have revenues. The whole point and the whole mindset that you need to have is the business is going to pay for my investment, right? I'm putting myself out there on the front end, but if I work the business will be successful and I'm going to be able to pay that loan. I've
Yep.
also heard people say, oh, that's more than my mortgage, or that's how much my mortgage is. I can't afford two mortgages. Yeah, because you're thinking about it on your current
Yeah.
income,
Yeah.
you're doubling your mortgage. The mindset shift needs to be, oh, I'm going to have a business that can pay for my mortgage and also pay for my loan and also, be proud. It's
Yeah.
a, you know, and that's why you need those conversations and you have to, do the stuff that we do on a daily basis, have go on that journey with people and help them, visualize the possibilities.
It's true. So how'd we do covering what it is we're looking for?
I think we kept it fairly high level. I mean, we could get into the weeds and we could talk about, things that are red flags. Some of it could be anecdotal. Hey, are
And
you
maybe
doing?
we don't want to talk about the red flags
And
because
maybe
we still got to find them. Yeah.
we still got to find them. Some of them, if you're going to call us and tell us you're interested and uh, we ask, is this something you're doing by yourself or, with a partner? And you say, oh, myself, I'm divorced, so it'd just be me. And we say, okay, go through some validating questions, talk about, you know, things like that. And you tell us, fuck
Please
her.
edit this out, Charlene. Please edit all of that out.
And you tell us
No,
that you're not paying. Yes, no, do edit this out. We'll just cut this out. But uh
I
what do you
love
say? What do you say? Fuck that bitch. I'm not paying her the child support. Remember,
Yeah,
that's who I was talking
yeah.
about. Was that guy?
I knew who you were talking
Okay.
about.
Yeah. If you're gonna be that guy, then you don't have to call.
Ah, what fun we have here. Um, all right. I think to stitch it all together, you gotta love pets and animals. You gotta love people, be willing to work with them. You gotta be excited about having a business, owning your own business, every aspect of that business, from hiring and managing people and marketing. And, you got to take all that on with us. And you got to be resilient.
Mhm.
That's, and want to be happy.
Yeah. I think that there's a direct correlation between how much pain are you in, how desirous you of being happy
Yeah.
and your success. Like if you can just be singularly focused on being happy, I need to put this work in. This is for my happiness. This is for my sanity. I mean, I see it unfolding right now with our franchisees. The ones
Yeah.
who are building, they're in construction. There's an issue with construction. There's an issue with, there's delays. It's very, stress inducing. Yes, we're working to solve those problems and working with the town, working with the architects, all of these things, and it's stress. But they're like, I'm doing this. Like we're
That's
not
right.
stopping. I'm 2 months away. I've come all this way. This is not going to deter me. And it's just great to see and to be working with people who are so determined.
It really is the key. It's, it's an absolute key. I, it's probably too late in this episode to bring it in, but me walking away from corporate life, it took me 2 years.
Yeah.
It took me 2 years of knowing, okay, this is what I'm building, this is how I'm going to build it, this is the end result, this is what I'm headed for, and get out of my way,
Yeah.
because that's where I'm going.
Mhm.
Yeah, that was the key. Okay. Tune in next week. We'll see what we're talking about then.
Finance. Financing.
Finance.
Thanks, Jerry. Have a good week.
Thanks, Chris. You too.